Hey, I'm Dr. Aziz, and I just came across this question on Quora that says, is it possible to have imposter syndrome while knowing you have it? And this is a great question. And I'm assuming what they mean by imposter syndrome here is that feeling that you're playing a role. And usually people feel this at work. And they're playing a role, whether in a meeting, they're talking to some potential clients and doing sales, they're doing a talk or a presentation, or maybe they're performing in some way. My brother is a lawyer and a trial lawyer. And so he gets in front of a jury and talks. And anytime we're really putting ourselves out there in a role, inside we can have this little feeling that says, I'm not really this person who's doing this thing. I'm an imposter. I'm a fraud. And the people that are watching are going to see right through me and say, hey, who do you think you are? You're not this impressive person who's putting this front out there. You're just this, little kid in there who's trying to be an adult. You're just this not talented person who's trying to look like they know what they're doing. We have this very kind of fearful feeling that people are going to find us out and it's going to be terrible. So that's imposter syndrome. And the question is, do you have to, if you know it, can you still have it? And of course, the answer is yes. In fact, the first step to overcoming imposter syndrome is to identify that that's what you're doing. I have this feeling that I'm an imposter. I have imposter syndrome. So that's identifying it. But that doesn't really help you, as this question indicates. You have to learn how to overcome it. And here are 3 basic tips to help you start to overcome imposter syndrome. So the first thing you have to realize, and this was mind-blowing when I realized this, is that everyone's got it. Everyone on some level has imposter syndrome. You might say, well, that's not true. I look at that person over there and they seem so confident. They've been doing this for so long. Yeah, but if you really press them underneath, do you think some part of them isn't a little bit insecure? Do you think that person has absolutely no insecurity whatsoever? I remember I was in a training group with people that were studying therapy and coaching and how to help people master the art of change. And some people have been doing it for 5 years and some people have been doing it for 30 years. And when we really got down into it, we did some deep work, we found that people that have been doing it for 30 years still had feelings like that sometimes. So the question is if everyone feels like an imposter at times, then maybe no one is an imposter. Maybe no one is fraudulent. That's just how it is to try to be, when you adopt a new role. So that's a very helpful insight for me. I realized, wait a minute, everyone has this. The second thing that can be really helpful in this process is it tends to be worse at first when you're starting a new role or in a new career. You're worse at first, and then it gets better as you get more comfortable with it. So a simple way of remembering that is you're going to suck at first, but then you get better. And so if you're new to a role, you're doing presentations, you're doing sales, you're doing something, and you suck at first, that's okay. You feel uncomfortable, it feels clunky, you have to think about it, you're not competent at it yet, that's okay. That's part of the process, and the key is just to keep doing it. So you have to commit to the long-term arc. Not like I'm going to get this right away, but I'm going to get this over a year. I'm looking at this career for the next 5 years, 10 years. Where am I going to be in 10 years? And if you really focus on deliberate practice and getting better at the things that you want to develop on, then you're going to become so confident in that role because you're going to be so competent in it that the imposter thing starts to fade over time. So taking the long-term view is the next thing. The third thing you can do to overcome imposter syndrome, I have it written down here, is modeling versus comparison mindset. A modeling mindset versus a comparison mindset. So here's what a comparison mindset is. You're sitting there, you're in a meeting, and you're watching Bob give his presentation, and Bob is really dang good at it. Bob's been doing it for 20 years, and you're watching him, and you're just like, wow, I bet Bob doesn't feel like he's an imposter. Bob's really good at this. He's a natural. And look at me. I'm pathetic. Everyone's going to see right through me. Right? So that's a comparison mindset. You're comparing yourself to Bob and you're feeling less than him. Versus a modeling mindset. Now, a modeling mindset is you're still watching Bob in the meeting, but you're studying what Bob is doing. How is Bob using his hands? How is he using his gestures? How is he engaging the group? Is he asking questions? What is he doing with his body language and his eye contact? How does he use humor and stories to influence people? So you study Bob and you break down the elements of what he's doing, maybe even note them down, and then you start to adopt them into your own style. Say, wow, Bob tells a really interesting story at the beginning of his presentation. Maybe I can tell an interesting story. So you start to model Bob rather than compare yourself to Bob. So that's the modeling mindset versus the comparison mindset. So if you do all 3 of those things, over time you can start to shift that imposter syndrome. So I hope that helps you, and it's something that we all go through, and it's a reoccurring challenge to keep owning that this is who I am, this is what I have to give the world, this is the role that I'm going to play for now, and everyone else can feel like an imposter too. So I'm just going to get out there and start doing this more. So thanks for listening. I hope this helps you. Let me know in the responses, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.